On this week's special episode of The Splash, we have the recap of our favorite stories, the guests that brought life to The Splash, and the celebration of people in our community. The Splash is a production of Civic Center TV. We're a news magazine that covers everything from local news to feature stories, also that we can bring you the latest from the greater West Bloomfield area. And now, let's dive into The Splash.
Welcome to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you for being with us on this final episode for 2019. Over the past year, a lot has happened in greater West Bloomfield, and we here at Civic Center TV make it our mission to capture what's happening in the community so these memories will last. So let's take a look back at some of our favorite community events in 2019.
On a chilly weekend afternoon, two local fire departments, including our very own West Bloomfield firefighters, invited the community out to Waterford Mott High School for a special fundraiser to help provide children whose lives have been affected by fires an outlet for recovery, fun, and friendship.
Between a guy in our department and a guy in Waterford, they set up a game between the two departments to raise money for the Michigan Great Lakes Burn Camp. So we just played one game between the two of us, kind of a little grudge match there. We have a little friendly rivalry with them and attempted to raise as much money as we can for the kids to send them to camp.
While what took place on the court came from good-natured competition, the purpose behind holding the basketball game reached far beyond the court, aimed at supporting young people in need.
West Bloomfield residents were treated to an afternoon of outstanding music at the public library. The concert was the latest in a series called Music at Maine, and the featured band was a jazz quartet which found its way to West Bloomfield with the help of Ken Napo from the Friends of the Library.
We bring in acts from all over the country and beyond, a number of Canadian acts. Today's is jazz, we have some Broadway. It's much more diverse. It makes West Bloomfield kind of a center for culture. We're very proud of that.
The Optimist Club of West Bloomfield started in 1972, and the whole point of the Optimist Club is, well, one, to be optimistic, but two, we want to help kids in the community. And so almost every year we've had this holiday party where we've invited families in, we've had a great celebration. And this year we heard that some families in Keagle Harbor were having some issues. So we teamed up with the Keagle Harbor Optimists, and we threw this amazing party tonight at Santia Hall in the heart of Keagle Harbor. One thing I love about the Optimist Club is they really bring people together, and I think that's so important these days, is coming together and not be torn apart, not be divided, not to be divisive. So I'm just really glad that we were able to host this event, and we had so many families that came tonight and to celebrate the holidays, and I think we made it a little bit brighter for them.
Their parents are actually at work accomplishing something, and it's actually a different life. We spend more time probably with our coworkers than we get to spend with our kids, so it's an extension of our family. So we're kind of introducing our children to our work family and our work family to our children. So it's a nice opportunity for both the kids and for us as employees.
As the day went on, the kids got to watch what their parents did at work and meet all their work friends as well. They also were able to visit the different departments and learn about different jobs within the community, and to see what West Bloomfield has to offer.
To relive all of these memories again, you can visit civiccentertv.com/2019 community. We often have the pleasure of interacting with many of our great friends, neighbors, and partners across the community when filming our stories. We now go back and remember some of the most interesting and compelling stories of 2019.
I got a tambourine. My sister got a frisbee.
Next, I spoke to Laura, who's going to tell you all about the Great Marshbank Park.
My name is Laura, and I am going to tell you about the Great Marshbank Park here. And there's free stuff selling all right on the corner. And I have gotten a beach ball free and new. And my sister has gotten a frisbee that I am going to throw.
And last but not least, I spoke with Ariana, who got a frisbee from over there.
A frisbee.
A frisbee? Where'd you get the frisbee from?
Oh, from over there.
Over there?
For over a decade, West Bloomfield residents have tuned into township board meetings to find Howard Rosenberg at his familiar place on the dais. But I bet you didn't know that in addition to being a veteran trustee, Howard is also a docent at the Detroit Institute of Arts.
Actually, I was talking to a professor of linguistics who explained to me that a docent in Latin means to teach, to lead, which is exactly what we do. We lead people around the museum, teaching them about our collection. We're trained thoroughly over a course of a 9-month period, and then continuing education after that by the curators, by our staff, by the people at the museum that vet us to make sure that what we're talking about is accurate and providing good, solid information to our visitors.
Ran by our park system, the trail is operated entirely by volunteers from local community organizations and community service-seeking students from West Bloomfield High School.
So Trick or Treat Trail is basically the community coming together. We have a number of businesses and organizations that come and set up along the trail. And then we have sponsors, of course, that help us make the event possible as well. And then we have volunteers mostly, which are high school students that come out and they dress up in our different character costumes. They help us basically help facilitate the event as well. So it's definitely a community feel. And takes basically everyone to kind of get the event going and for it to be successful.
As Megan's own life changed, so did her art. And looking at the work, you can see precisely when certain life events took place, as she explains.
So as this was being worked on, or as I was working on this, my husband became very ill. And consequently, what started to happen was that the water symbolism started turning into double helixes. I started thinking much more about life and death, about people in general. When he passed away, the figures turned into bones and hearts, and that ends the series.
Mm-hmm. And to see more of all of these moments, you can visit civiccentertv.com/2019 people. Later in the show, we look back at important information we learned this year, and we hear from some of our favorite guests.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Civic Center TV is your home for everything Greater West Bloomfield. Here you can tune into community programming such as our weekly news magazine show, The Splash, as well as coverage of local events and meetings in Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield. You can also watch all of your local programming online anytime at civiccentertv.com. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
You want it, you got it. Civic Center TV has been bringing you live coverage of your local municipal meetings for years. Now you can catch a replay of those meetings the following day at 1 o'clock and again on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. If that's not enough, you can also visit civiccentertv.com/meetings to view a whole list of on-demand township board meetings and keep up to date on the most recent developments in your local government. Giving you more, it's Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you for being with us on this final episode of 2019. One of our most important roles here at Civic Center TV is to inform the public of important information. And we have a lot of partners in the community that help us learn about special programs and also provide our viewers with helpful tips for daily life. Let's take a look at some of our best informational stories of 2019.
Do you smell that? That smells like the Teen Cooking 101 class from the demonstration kitchen of Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Wait, that is the Teen Cooking 101 class from the Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital.
So we had what we call our Teen Cooking 101 class. Every summer from July to August we have kids, it's what we call our Kids Summer Series. So basically we will go over 3 to 5 recipes following a particular theme, just teaching them how to either cook in general, how to make their own meals, and how to do it in a healthy way. Today's setup for class was more of a demonstration, and then they got to go and actually use hands-on the skills that they had just seen Chef William Proper use himself.
Educating parents on drugs was the goal of a symposium held at the Teen Center at the Jewish Community Center in West Bloomfield.
There is a lot of things parents are naive about, and the problem is they don't know what they don't know. So when they come here, they do find out. It's like, oh, that's what that is, or oh, I didn't know about that, or a new term, or a new behavior, just something that they might glean that helps them. And that's our goal, to help parents empower them to help their kids.
With the legalization of marijuana being a hot-button issue today, the question of it being a gateway drug is a topic of interest.
In terms of marijuana, anything can be a gateway drug because it's not really the drug itself, it's the behaviors that someone acquires from using substances, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, or anything else. If they start engaging in activities where that's what they're doing every weekend, or that's all they do with their friends, then that can lead to other drug use as well.
Today was a great event for us to be able to talk with parents and give them resources about how to deal with our kids when they're presenting with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and just coping strategies. You know, kids today are under so much pressure. There's a lot going on. 15, 16, 17 today is not, 15, 16, 17 when our parents were 15. And so really just helping them to have the skills to help their kids through things.
No matter if we live long enough, one of us or our family members or a loved one is going to be affected by mental health. And it's part of our day-to-day. Everybody in any given period of time is going to go through a certain balance of a spectrum of whether they're feeling great or having a bad day. And sometimes we got to learn how to be there for one another when those bad days kind of continue beyond what is a normal range of emotions. So this is one more step in breaking down the stigma, helping people get care before there's crises, and be much more preventative rather than treating symptoms after there's more challenges.
Today we came over to Gretchko Elementary School, Representative Carter and me, to talk to the kids about the bill that they asked us to introduce to make the monarch butterfly the state insect. Well, we don't have a state insect, and we're one of only 2 states that doesn't have one. And if you are familiar with the industry in Michigan, farming is our number 2, and we are dire shortage really happening with pollination. And so the monarchs are a big part of that. And they're beautiful, and we don't have a state insect, and what could be better than a gorgeous orange butterfly?
It was just phenomenal. In my opinion, we have an opportunity here to hear the voices of our future leaders. These young people are engaged with making the monarch butterfly the state insect, and it's so important to them. And just to see how proud they were, how much they knew about the insect, it was uplifting to me.
To see even more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/2019 information. And now it's time for the Civic Center TV event update, where we provide you with upcoming events around Greater West Bloomfield. And for more events coming up, visit civiccentertv.com/events. Dispose of prescription drugs with Operation Medicine Cabinet, happening year-round in West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, and Orchard Lake, and takes place at the 3 police departments of the communities. Disposing of drugs is completely anonymous, open 24/7 in West Bloomfield, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Kego Harbor, and Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Orchard Lake. Your favorite event stories and songs coming to the library starting January 9th every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Visit the West Bloomfield Public Library for this interactive dual language storytime event. There is no registration required, and for additional information, visit westbloomfieldlibrary.org. Gather your books and gather your babies, because Books and Babies is back. Friday, starting January 10th, you can introduce your baby to books and help improve their reading abilities with this interactive and fun event happening at the West Bloomfield Public Library. The event goes from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. and is free to attend. Registration is required, and you can find out more at westbloomfieldlibrary.org. And that's this week's highlights. You can find even more events online at civiccentertv.com/events and see everything going on in the greater West Bloomfield area. When we come back, we'll look at some of our favorite guest interviews of 2019.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Civic Center TV is your home for everything greater West Bloomfield. Here you can tune into community programming such as our weekly news magazine show, The Splash, as well as coverage of local events and meetings in Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield. You can also watch all of your local programming online anytime at civiccentertv.com. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
You want it, you got it. Civic Center TV has been bringing you live coverage of your local municipal meetings for years. Now you can catch a replay of those meetings the following day at 1 o'clock and again on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. If that's not enough, you can also visit civiccentertv.com/meetings to view a whole list of on-demand township board meetings and keep up to date on the most recent developments in your local government. Giving you more, it's Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to the final episode of 2019 for The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you for being with us. Over the course of 2019, we have had the privilege of bringing on many different guests from many different walks of life. And we now take a look at some of our favorite interview moments from 2019.
I was assigned to 3 committees. Education, which is my normal fit, my wheelhouse. Insurance, which I'm not quite sure how I got there. And then family, children, and seniors. That's that committee. So as I started looking at the needs of District 29, which is quite diverse, you know, Orchard Lake Village with Apple Island and the great, you know, the homes that we have out here in Orchard Lake Village, and then you go swing through Pontiac, where it's economically challenged because of the loss of the manufacturing industry in Pontiac. That played a big part in some of the economic decline in Pontiac, all the way over to Auburn Hills, where they're surging with their economic development and companies coming in like Toyota. So I said that let me just see what I can develop that can address all of these areas. The first task force that I developed was the education task force, because it was a normal fit.
Right.
What we wanted to do is find a group of grassroots educators, not teachers, not elected officials, not anybody that traditionally or historically had some input into the education system, but actually going out and ask the moms, the dads,
So why is that important?
Because you need to have the voice of everyone.
I owned a game company in Silicon Valley, and I was a tech guy. I was also in computer forensics. And so I was afraid it would be a bit cheesy, possibly, because there's a wide variety of Elvises. We all have our own way.
Right.
You got the really amazing ones and the mediocre, and then some interesting, I'll just say.
How many Elvis impersonators do you think there are across the world? Do you know?
Believe I've heard over 50,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did an interview with Bob Levy of the Washington Post years ago, and he threw something out like that, and I was like, I had no idea. Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. So you are one of 50,000.
Yeah, it could even be more now. I have no idea, yeah.
Right. So how do you feel when you go out there on stage and...
I just have fun. It's very natural. The funny thing is people always say, oh, you must have studied Elvis's moves. I was just moving and shaking just naturally.
Right.
And of course, I went and watched some videos say, oh, you know, Elvis just had that great...
A uniqueness, right?
Yeah, he just moved his hand and, you know.
Right.
So, I worked on that a little bit to get some more of those really iconic moves that he does.
So, after a few years of running Brew, the opportunity to be on Shark Tank presented itself, and I ended up on Shark Tank, and I got to deal with Mark Cuban, which was unbelievable, and it was the coolest experience ever. And so now I'm working with Mark on growing Brew and finding new ways to, launch new products and get more customers and make our customers that we already have happier and just continue to increase the size of the company and the size of the brand.
So how many customers do you have?
We have a lot. We have customers in all 50 states and a couple other countries too. So it's really cool. We're slowly starting to see customers everywhere and more of them popping up.
Okay, so I'm dying to see this, so show me the demonstration.
So I'll show you how it works.
Okay.
So here's the box. It comes in this box.
And you designed the logo.
I did.
That's awesome.
So as a high school student, when I was starting it, I was 15 when I invented the product.
Right.
I'll show it. I needed a logo, I needed packaging, and I couldn't afford a designer, and I couldn't send it to somebody. So my only option was to teach myself graphic design.
Wow.
So I taught myself how to do that, taught myself how to make a box.
So you pretty much have done it all. Brooke Allen, joined this week by Santa Claus. And Santa, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Brooke.
Okay, I have one question we have to start off with. Am I on the naughty or nice list?
Oh, the naughty or nice list. Well, let me tell you what I tell all the kids, Brooke.
Okay.
Here's what it is. If I go to a group and the kids are all asking Santa Claus, am I the naughty or the nice? What I tell them, and the truth is, the nice list is miles and miles and miles long, and it's nearly impossible to remember everyone's name that's on the nice list. But the naughty list is much shorter.
Okay.
Much shorter. So if I remember your name very well, chances are you might not be on the nice list. So if I don't remember, you might be better off.
excellent news. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so I know you're very busy, and I know that everyone is trying to figure out the cookies they're going to make you to leave this year, so you have to tell us, what's your favorite cookie?
Well, I've never met a cookie I didn't like, but around this time of the year, I think a nice sugar cookie cut out with some sprinkles on top, that's good. That's good to eat. And
Okay.
a nice cold glass of milk.
Oh, there he is.
is
Hi.
an African ball python.
And are they friendly? What do you need to know if you want a python?
Well, pythons, like Vincent, can grow fairly decent size.
Okay.
So you do need to have an enclosure for him that's at least long enough for him to lay from one end to another. And the females can get even larger, so they can get up to about 6 feet long.
So this is as long as he's going to get?
This is approximately as long as he'll
Really?
get.
Okay.
Yes, so they do tend to grow throughout their lives, but it's a very minuscule amount once they're at adult size.
Okay. So is Vincent looking for a home, or is he good?
No, Vincent is going to stay with us for the rest of his life. We're committed to taking these animals in, and he's going to be part of our program on nocturnal pets, roommates that keep you up all night.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's just an honor to be back here. It's so good to see you guys again.
So tell me how it was for you to be the creator of the Splash.
Oh, wow. Well, when we first started, it was a little daunting. I mean, to do this whole show by ourselves was kind of something we had never really done before. But as time went on, we started to develop our own style, our voice, and having these great guests every week, and just the support from the community here in West Bloomfield, too. People loved the show, and they watched and, tuned in, and we really appreciated that.
So you and Dave Alberry kind of created it together, and then you kind of took it on as producer and just kind of ran with it.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So all the elements.
Obviously we've got our 3 main stories. I'm sure we're still doing that. Our reporters, obviously, who help out with the show. Sidewalk Talk, one of our more popular segments. I know people love going out on the street and getting their opinions on whatever topic it is that day. And of course, our Person of the Week. I love that segment of our show. Always finding somebody different in the community, somebody unique, and just giving them a little bit of a spotlight,
And that's important because it lifts up the community, I think.
It really does. It really does. Here in the greater West Bloomfield area, you got Kego Harbor, Orchard Lake, Sylvan, and of course West Bloomfield, all of us together, and we make one really great community.
And for more interesting interviews, you can visit civiccentertv.com/on-demand and select the Splash exclusive interviews. And now it's time to look back at some of our favorite episodes of A Minute with Nature, Parenting on the Go in the Biz, where we partnered with community organizations to deliver interesting information that is close to home.
Hello and welcome to Minute with Nature. I'm your host, Lauren Azuri, the park naturalist for West Bloomfield Parks. And today, we're here inside our nature room learning about some of our animal ambassadors. An animal ambassador is one of our animals that we use for teaching the public about nature. We have permits from the DNR that allow us to keep these animals captive, and we want to remind the public that you should choose your pets wisely. A lot of the animals we have here at the nature room are great for education, but they're not the best pets to have at your home. The animal ambassador we're going to highlight today is our eastern gray tree frog. Now you might wonder what the difference between a frog and toad is, and you can visit us here at the nature room to look at up close and notice the differences. But a toad, it has dry, bumpy skin, and frogs usually have wet, slimy skin and smooth skin. Our eastern gray tree frog definitely has nice, smooth skin, and it's really cool because it can camouflage. It can change its colors between grays and greens. It doesn't change any crazy colors like purples and oranges because we don't really have that outside in our environment in Michigan, so it doesn't need to. But it's great at camouflaging on the bark of a beech tree, the gray color, or a leaf of a tree, the green color. We think that our eastern gray tree frog here is a male because we've heard him vocalize before. Only male frogs vocalize, and they do that in the springtime to attract females down to the pond. One female tree frog can lay 1,000 to 2,000 eggs at one time. That's a lot of baby tree frogs.
Hello and welcome to Parenting on the Go. I'm Brooke Allen, and joining me today is Tanya Petkoff. Tanya is a limited licensed psychologist at Child and Family Solutions in Farmington Hills. And Tanya, thank you so much for being with us. And today we're talking about ways to keep kids mentally healthy. So tell me, where do you even start with that?
I know, and I often think this is kind of a loaded question, but I think the best way we can kind of think about it is maybe looking at it from 5 major points. And I think the first one being, making sure that the child and parent has a very trustworthy relationship. And I think one of the best ways that we can do that is through consistency and predictability in our parenting strategies. Because if you go to any local bookstore, there's 1,000 parenting books on how to do this. And I think one of the things we have to really keep in mind is making sure that we don't use empty threats when we're parenting, such as saying, if you don't stop this right now, we're going to leave, and then not leaving or not following through on something that we promised.
So when we think about our kids, they have a lot of influences that are coming at them from a lot of different angles, cultural, social, peer pressures that are constantly coming at them. And when our kids have cell phones, that just means that these pressures can be at them 24/7. There's never a break. Our kids don't ever have a break. And for a lot of these young people, brain development, our brains are not fully developed until about 25 years old. So that's a lot of responsibility for our kids to have to not only handle the constant pressure, but then really be able to assess this information and integrate it in an age-appropriate way.
And to relive all of our favorite moments from these shows, you can visit civiccentertv.com/2019 segments. Each and every week on The Splash, we honor the special people in our community who go out of their way to help others in our segment Person of the Week. And we have had the pleasure of meeting numerous people in Greater West Bloomfield who are doing good for others, and we will honor them once again, our People of the Year.
On every single episode of The Splash, we choose to honor people in our community who are going out of their way to do good for others. The people that we highlight are often not in the spotlight for all the good that they do, but we believe that they should and deserve to be honored. Those who we feature on the Person of the Week are some of the friendliest, most welcoming, and good-natured people in our community, and they are a part of the reason why the Greater West Bloomfield is one of the best places to live. Their acts and contributions to the community are not only bringing out the best in them, but in all of us as a whole. Highlighting these people is the least we can do to say thank you, and we hope to inspire others to do more just like them. These are our People of the Year. People who care, people who inspire, and people who do good for others for one simple reason, because it's the right thing to do. And we want to thank each and every one of them.
If you know someone who's making a positive difference, let us know. Message us on social media with any and all suggestions, because we want to congratulate and acknowledge those making a difference in our community. And that's it for The Splash this year. You can watch new episodes anytime online in HD at civiccentertv.com, Mondays at 5:30 p.m., Civic Center TV on Comcast 15 and AT&T Channel 99. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Civic Center TV. And you can also listen to me weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WWJ News Radio 950. For all our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you for watching The Splash.